Hey, what's up everyone? Sayega here, and I am back with the fourth devlog to the Aviator Springs Airport Reservation System project that I've been working on. Uh, so what I'm going to show today is the page for finding flights, the template. Now, nothing works currently, it's just a template for design purposes, but we're going to get into pretty much showing you how it works and how it might look on mobile devices, and then some little neat thing that I added within it. So let's just throw some random stuff in here, and let's go. So, all right, let's take this. Let's break this apart by what we see here. But generally, this is the template. So top is basically we have our flight list, just a name there. It'll probably say departure or something on the right. I think that might be a good idea, um, depending on which one you're choosing, right? And now you'll have a departing from and arriving at, depending on if you're doing round trip or one way. And that's the top panel. So if you have round trip, it's gonna have both. If you have one way, it's only gonna have departing from. And up here, let's say if you're on round trip on the first flight, it'll be departing, and if you're round trip second flight, it'll be returning or something. All right, now let's go. Let's get along to this. So we have our sorting and filtering. Oh, I have to set this up actually. There's actually supposed to be a little thing here. I can fix that really quickly. Uh, let's just take a look and see where it was. Yeah. So this is supposed to be, I'd say it's supposed to be right here. It's supposed to be display block. Okay, there we go. That's supposed to be there. That was I have a thing where it's hidden for reasons in mobile. You'll see how everything though looks at that point. Anyway, let's get into this. So, this is the filter and sort section. This is where you can sort and filter by various things to get specific flights. So you can sort by all these different things: price lowest highest, number of stops lowest highest, departure time, and arrival time. Then you have the number of stops. So you might have a non-stop flight, you might have a one-stop flight, two-stop flight, so forth, so forth. Then you're going to have company, and for this I just have United Airlines, American Airlines, but you can have multiple depending on what is shown. Then departure time, right? So you'll have, this is what I just got from Expedia, but they have like a morning, afternoon, and evening. They don't have anything midnight or something like that, like or like super early morning, whatever it is. So I'm not sure why. Maybe I think it might just be based on which flights exist, and whatever. But departure and arrival time, and that's the filtering. And then this is simply just the list of flights. You have your price, you have the the amount of time it will take, how many stops, and the company, and the actual hours, time of arrival, time of departure, time of arrival. I might add some more stuff here, because again, it does look a little bit bare bones, so I'm not entirely sure what I can add, but I wanted to keep it simplistic. Anyway, let's take a look at it in the mobile. So this is iPad. And iPad Pro pretty much take it the desktop route. Looks very similar. I'm probably gonna push this though to the middle though on iPad, but yeah. And then you can see a little more compact, but still looks pretty good. And then we'll go to iPhone now and mobile. So on mobile we have it a little bit different. So same thing for the panel, looks the same, but down here we kind of take out the rows and setup, and we just make it a block row. I think the only problem I have with this is it looks a bit uneven, but that's okay. Um, anyway, so yeah, so simply enough, this is how it would look on a mobile device. And the cool thing is you have this button that will open the filter and sort, and it looks like that on mobile. So that's kind of neat. Um, and yeah, so that's pretty much how it looks on mobile. Let's keep changing different ones how it looks. So if you're on a bigger mobile device, it'll then push this over to the side, which is kind of good. And so we're shrinking it, whatever it is. But as you can see, this is pretty much the thing. I guess I'll show you now how I got these to work. So simply enough, all right. So I guess I'll explain the fundamentals of what everything is, right? So I use a lot of the grid system, and a grid system is very, very good and important. The reason why a grid system is very good is that it allows you to organize your site in like a grid style, and it's very good because that's exactly what I did everywhere here. So this, if you look at this whole thing, like if you take a look at this, and then you take a look at uh, this, both of those separately, that's all one row divided into two columns, where one column is bigger than the other column. And then you can see that displayed right over here, where we have, where was it, div row, and this covers the entirety of it. See? And then we have column, right? And then the second column. And as you can see, that's that. This allowed me to pretty much organize them in a way that just makes sense. And you'll see, like, hey, I can just click things here and it'll work. I'll probably have like a done section here, or a search section here, or a filter section, I guess would probably be the better one. Or I might just filter it based on clicks. I might filter it based on clicks. That might be the better way to go about it. But yeah, so that's there and that's there. Right now, how did I organize the rest of this? Right. Well, let's take a look at this. So I used the grid system here. Right. We have two rows, one and then two, and you'll see that if I go to flight card, which I actually, the way I have this set up is that, in fact, every one of these is just a flight card that contains, departures, arrival, length, and it just kind of changes that. So if I went to the first one and I changed this to like 700, it will change. So that makes things a lot easier. It also makes sending information a lot more concise and simple to understand. But if we go to each flight card, we'll take a look at how these are set up. So we have the full flight card. Now we have a row, right? This row contains two columns. Well, these are the two columns, as you can see, the time to depart and arrive, and then the length and stops. Boom. Then we have one row with one column, which is just company, right here, yeah. And then we have another row. Oh, actually, this was something I wanted to add in. I'm going to keep this here for now because it's something I still do want to add, but I don't know if I will. But basically, it's supposed to go underneath, and it'll just basically say, hey, this is a good flight, or whatever it is. Kind of like Expedia does that as well. So I thought it was a cool thing to add. But anyway, so that's that. And as you can see, a lot of things are based on the grid system. That's how you're able to make these things. Except now, these individually, every card itself are just based on blocks, right? They're each display block because it just goes down a line, so you don't need to do anything with that. Anyway, but let's talk about how I'm able to actually. So the cool thing and the funny thing is about how this is set up is this individually is also with the grid system. But the reason why I do it that way is because if you go down to mobile and you look at it, see how it is a grid. Basically what I do is when it's full screen like this, it changes this to a full length rows and columns, right? Or each column is full length, so it'll go one after the other. And that's what I did. So when it's smaller, it actually reduces the size of the columns to do something like this. And yes, so that's kind of how I have this set up. So make these full-length columns, and columns go from 1 to 12. So make them 12 size, and then make MD 12, and then make them normally like 4 or something, or whatever or don't even have to do anything. What you'll see here is, where are they? For each thing over here, right? We have, no, that's the other forms, right? So I have multiple rows, and they each have they each have a couple columns. So I have one row will be column MD. MD means like desktop, pretty much, or medium, I guess. I'm not sure exactly, but right. So column like that is fine. and column small is 12. So um, basically what happens is that what was this? I think I should go to, that's not the one I wanted to talk about. I'm stupid. Here, right? So class name is column, right? Boom. But if you do something here, this is where it actually is. Okay, I found it now. Column, but then column MD12. This basically means that, hey, when you're on desktop, make the column length the maximum, so it pushes everything down. But if you're not if you're like, lower than MD, make it just a normal column width. And same thing with every other one. So that's pretty much how I have it organized. Um, Now, final thing I guess I'll talk about here is the filter and sort button. Basically, let's go find it. Right, so there's a button over here, right? So simply we have a state of filter visible. It pretty much just says, hey, this filter is visible or not. Then we have a function called set filter visible, and we bind it. That's kind of how React works. If you want to look up how this works, just look it up. It's very easy to understand. Pretty much all functions in React require binds if you're going to use them within a class. Then you have set filter visible with event. I'm not sure if we need the event though, but I think you might actually if you're doing an on-click event. Yeah. So then you have hey, if this is false. Well, anyway, let's go here first. We have a button on click. We call this function. Simple enough. Over here, what will happen is, hey, if this is false, set it to true. If this is true, set it to false. And then what this does is it'll take a look and it'll be like, hey, is filter visible true or not? If it's true, we set it to block, and if it's not, we don't do anything. Because by default, inside flight list, form is set to none, right? Because we want to build for mobile first. So all of these are built for mobile first, and then are scaled upwards with media queries. So we set this to display none. And this allows for when you put nothing in the class, it allows it to work. I mean, I guess something simple to understand, by the way, is why we do this in the class is because I guess if you aren't familiar, you might not be. I mean, I wasn't for the longest time, but CSS frameworks like Bootstrap, which is what I'm using, allow you to basically do columns and stuff, different like styling within the classes themselves. So that's how we're able to actually modify the style with a function. Pretty neat. But yeah, so that's how that works. And so that seems pretty much it for this. The next step I'm probably going to handle is actual full functionality. Meaning I'm gonna have to go back to the API and modify some endpoints and get things in a different way. It's going to be very hard, but I'll be able to manage it. And I think I'm also going to have to go back into the database and actually work on handling things differently, right? So I think everybody should get a boarding pass, right? Okay, so I guess I'll just brainstorm quickly now. So if you don't really want to hear the brainstorming, you can leave. But, so there are a couple things that we're going to need, right? We're going to need to figure out how pricing works for seats, right? So pricing should be based on the seat. Pricing shouldn't be based on the seats. I think pricing should be based on the type of, like if it's economy plus, and so forth, right? So pricing should be based on that, whereas, let's say if there are two economy planes, they're both going to be the same price. Like if they're, both economy seats inside of the same plane, they're both going to be the same price. But if you have an economy and an economy plus, one might be more than the other. So that's something we got to figure out. So I think that we're going to have to figure out some sort of formula to build pricing. Or at least all seats are going to be having a price field, I suppose. So it'll have, type of seat and then price field, I guess. And we'll go from there. So that's something I got to figure out. So we can get prices. And then I'm going to have to figure out how sorting and filtering works, right? And as well as multiple stops, right? So I think multiple stops especially, I probably don't want to worry about multiple stops right now. Maybe I can get it working with just non-stop, and then multiple stops will come later. And I think multiple stops, I'm only going to stop after like 2 or 3, I think. But yeah, there's a couple things I was thinking of. But anyway, if you liked, subscribe, I guess, or I'm gonna be making these as I keep building this site out. Very excited with how it's coming along, though. This is probably my best site, and it might not be the greatest site, but it's definitely not like it's definitely interesting. And I'm happy it's coming along just nicely. And I still really like how iPad looks like this. So anyway, if you guys like, the series, consider subscribing, I guess. If you just want to see more, though, this isn't really going to be a YouTube channel, which I focus on a lot, but yeah. Anyway, have a good one, guys.